What's up, Arthas? Hello guys, my name is Shane Cash. I'm a Savannah Monitor owner and I've owned my Savannah Monitor for approximately a year and a half. I have had him since about April 2016, give or take a few days, and I'll be discussing how I have successfully cared for my Savannah Monitor so far. I will also discuss very important concerns of owning a Savannah Monitor. Now, cage size is one of the most important things to have. This is because of thermal regulation and temperature variance, which means that there has to be a warm side and a cool side. The cool side has to range between about 75 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit, and the warm side can be anywhere from above that to about 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, the cage must be a minimum of 8 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot. Some other people, Savannah Monitor owners, have had their monitors in a 6 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot cage. Smaller cages can result in a lot of illnesses, such as a lack of heat or temperature variance, which could pretty much bake your monitor if it's too close to the warm side and has no cool side. That's also why proper ventilation is needed. Now, the dirt mixture for Savannah Monitor must be 70 to 75% topsoil and 25 to 30% children's play sand. It cannot be potting soil due to the chemicals and additives it contains. P.S. If you're going for a bioactive setup in the future, the bugs within your reptile's ecosystem can be harmed by the potting soil and chemicals that are inside the potting soil. Now, Savannah monitors really need a good mixture of dirt, which is topsoil, and play sand mixture. This is so that the soil can hold their burrows, and the depth of the soil should be anywhere between 16 to 24 inches, depending on the size of your monitor. Mine's about a juvenile. He's about 2.5 feet right now, and he's male. Right now, whenever I got my soil, I could only get I believe I got about 18 bags of topsoil and about 3 bags of play sand, and I think I should have got a little bit more play sand, but it's alright. The soil mixture is very good, and on some sides the soil depth might only be about 12 inches, but on other sides, like this side of the cage, the dirt has been moved around by him, which results in the soil depth being about 16 inches. Now, my Savannah Monitor has dug holes a handful of times, which he decided to take down, or they collapsed due to poor humidity. This is why you must always try to focus on its basic husbandry needs. These would be things like misting down the cage, cleaning out the water dish multiple times a week, and occasionally checking the soil. Now, even I have gotten lazy a few times on taking care of my Savannah Monitor, but you want to try your best to keep the needs as the best for your monitor. Now, moving on to his bioactive setup. Now, having a bioactive setup can be very good for almost any reptile, which can be debatable. Some reptiles don't need a bioactive setup. But a bioactive cage, for example, is a self-sustained ecosystem within your cage, and it most likely want to represent its ecosystem out in the wild. Like a Savannah Monitor isn't just a sandy terrain, which most owners think of it as. They would like to burrow, and they like to hide in their burrows. And burrows should always have a humidity of about 100%. And some others say about 80 to 90, but I was reading about 100%. And I'm not quite sure about his burrow's humidity percents, but I'm gonna estimate it to be very high, because as you can see, the soil is already dark and very moist. You can dig in it, and it clumps up very well, which is also why you want play sand, because without it, it would crumple. Let's apart this. Well, anyways. Bioactive setup would have things such as roly-polies, which are isopods, springtails, and millipedes, and a bunch of other insects. I didn't list every insect, but it could also be things such as earthworms, and some people get other insects that are inside their cage from outside. The list goes on. I have leaf litter, which is a great option for anyone because it helps with humidity and your monitor's ability to forage. Now, Arthas over here, he likes to forage in his leaf litter. I've seen him do it about 4 or 5 times, and I just recently put the leaf litter in about 2 days ago. And since I live in Arizona, I live towards Avondale and Buckeye, there's a lot of farms out there and farmland, and they like to spray a lot of insecticides. So I'd always check your area before reaching outside and putting random materials inside your lizard's cage. Now, I'd rather prevent illness before it happens, so I took the precaution of boiling the leaves before I threw inside the cage, and there was already roly-polies inside the cage, which I built a colony of roly-polies before I put them in here, and then I put them inside the cage, and they've kind of been like that ever since. The only reason I took the leaf litter from outside and boiled it is because I didn't have enough money to buy leaf litter, so I told you the process of how I pretty much rinse them and boil them. Other monitor owners, on the other hand, like to throw leaves inside the cage without sanitizing any of it. This is good depending on where you are from and located. Always try to check the area to see if it has ever been sprayed with any insecticides, which could possibly result in your red-tail getting sick. You don't want your monitor to get sick, obviously. The leaf litter also gives homes to a lot of your bioactive insects required for the ecosystem inside your cage to thrive. And I do believe it does keeps your humidity up about 5-10%, depending on how big your cage is and how much leaf litter you have. Now, a water dish, this is the next controversial issue. Now, a water dish, in my opinion, is needed for a Savannah Monitor. I sometimes see my monitor drinking from his dish and occasionally pooping in it. Most of the time, he poops in the corner over there, and the roly-polies go nuts over it. But other times, I see him poop in his water dish, and I immediately change it out, which you can't see in the video because the lighting is poor. Excuse my lighting, guys. Now, my monitor's diet is mainly of insects, but every other week, maybe 2 weeks, I decide to feed them rodents, small mice. Mainly superworms and dubiousrists are the insects I feed them, but I have heard the argument that Savannah monitors only eat insects, and I have heard that they've eaten small rodents and crayfish, rarely in the wild, of course. They also scavenge and eat a lot of carrion, along with other small prey items. Now, that'd be approximately a Savannah monitor's diet. If you're curious to learn more about Savannah monitor's diet, you could always go and look it up online and read numerous articles. Don't read just one, of course, because it could be biased towards one's info. Now, the temperament handling of my monitor, personally, my monitor Arthas is somewhat tame. By this I mean, he allows me to pet him and pick him up, but I can only hold for about 30 seconds to a minute before he gets curious and wants to move. Now, this is me just petting Arthas. Yep, see how he gets curious? It's okay. Now he smells my hand. It's okay. What's up, Arthas? He didn't really expect that, but that's how he reacts. Other times he's not too bad about being petted. Like, he lets me pet him on his head, on his body. Right now he's kind of sleeping and being chill, but you don't ever want to disrupt your monitor like that. Now, I do believe most animals can be tamed with the logic that if I tap a snail on its shell and it goes back inside its shell, you could repeat this process multiple times, and eventually the snail itself will no longer see you as a threat whenever you're tapping the pan on its shell. And I believe that same logic can be applied to taming animals. Now, of course, I'm not saying go force handle your monitor, but I'd say handle them softly and give them positive reinforcements like an insect or two whenever you handle them. Now, remember, as oxymoronic as it sounds, not all monitors can be tamed. Time is key. Lighting and heat are as equally as important as cage size, and these are the two huge factors of owning a monitor. Now, of course, cage size I already discussed before, and that's one of the biggest things people get wrong with their monitor, is you need 8 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot for a single monitor. Now, the heat of this basking spot, which I've attempted on multiple times, must be 145 degrees. Actually, I'd say anywhere between 130 to 150. They have been seen in Africa on a basking spot of approximately 150 degrees. What are you doing? Arthas, you clumsy guy. Yeah, sometimes he's like that. Alright guys, my phone died, so I'm back at it again. Now, lighting was what I was discussing. Now, lighting and heating is one of the most important things when it comes to owning a monitor. It's almost as equally important as its cage size. Its cage size is very important for a monitor. And before I talk to you about my heating and lighting setup, my monitor, when I had him in a 55-gallon cage, because he was really small, he was under a foot. Now he's about 2 foot. But when he was under a foot, I had him in a 55-gallon cage. Now, the problem with having him in an aquarium, 55 gallons, is the fact that it's not a lot of width and space for him to move around. On top of that, when he had a hot basking spot of maybe 120 degrees, which isn't really very hot for his size, he was supposed to have 130 degrees basking spot, but he didn't. And the heat escapes out of the glass, which is a huge problem. Now, one weekend, I was gone at my dad's house, and my mom was watching over my monitor. She forgot to turn on his lights late. She turned it on about 12 o'clock when it's normally supposed to be on at 8 o'clock a.m. And it was winter time, so it got cold in my house. And he ended up getting sick from it. Now, how he got sick was pretty much from a lack of heat. and he got all dizzy, and he kept it for a month, and that's when I got really concerned, and I took him to a herpetologist, which is someone who studies reptiles and is specialized in reptiles. She gave me some medicine which cost me about $60, which is very expensive for a reptile, and she told me to give him a lot of heat. That's one of his main things. Now ever since I moved into a big cage, keeping him in wood, which is great for him, keeps the heat very, very good. Like this setup of bulbs, this is his UVA bulb right here, and this is his basking bulb, which is a flood lamp. This is 90 watts. This is turned off right now, but this is also 90 watts, and this is a UVA and UVB bulb. Now this is about 8 o'clock at night. His lights will be shutting off soon, and the temperature is very important for the digestion of the monitor. Now guys, if I'm speaking a little fast, that's because my mind thinks a little bit faster than my mouth at times, so please mention anything I'm missing down in the comments below. Now, one of the main key concepts of owning a monitor is the heat and cage size. You have to remember that and keep that in mind when you're looking to buy a Savannah monitor. Now, if there's anything I've ever missed, which I did just tell you, leave in the comments down below. And thank you guys for watching.